These are exciting times for the people of Lagos as Lagos State celebrates 50 years of existence. Therefore, as part of activities to commemorate the Golden Jubilee of the state, a two-day international conference themed towards a smart city preparing for the next 50 years was held to discuss ways to make Lagos the economic hub of Africa. The event, which was held on Thursday, 25th May 2017, at the Convention Center, Eco Hotels, Victoria Island, Lagos, had in attendance the Governor of Lagos State, Mr. Akinwumi Ambode, the Speaker, Lagos State House of Assembly, Honorable Mudashiru Obasa, Nigerian playwright and poet, and co-chairman Lagos at 50, Professor Wale Soyinka. In his welcome address, the Governor of Lagos State, Mr. Akinwumi Ambode, said the gathering is not about what we are doing or what we ought to have done, but what we must do to make Lagos a smart city for the future generation. For this to be achieved, the people must trust their leaders. The leaders must think, plan and act, as these are sure recipes for success. Mr. Akinwumi Ambode assured that the Lagos State government has made a commitment to improve lives of its citizens, expand economic activities, and provide access to critical public services, adding that the future prosperity of Lagos is dependent on how well it can equip children and youth with technological and educational skills, which will be used to develop the solutions for the future.
75% of what you see as the end product is actually from planning or thinking it. You have to think it. And thinking means that you have to take it from A to Z. And then the planning is when you now bring out all this strategy, okay, how does it work? And then the timing, and then you now tell other people to go and execute. So what I'm saying here is, my KPI for a smart city will be, how do we measure the quality of services that we render as a government and the quality of services that we render from individuals to individual or from business to government or individual to business. The totality of that quality is what makes us smart. It's not enough for you to say government will provide a smart city. There should be smart business between the tailor and the designer. You know something that is so microscopic, but in totality, it's about being smart. So if a foreigner comes here and goes to a restaurant and he gets quality service, he knows that there's something happening in that city. He doesn't have to come to Alausa to see it.
To round off his address, he said he's confident that the discussants will provide solutions to the present and future challenges as Lagos prepares for its next 50 years of prosperity.
There's a very big difference from what we see or read in the textbooks and in the lecture, then in the private sector. If you've had that opportunity to have worked in the private sector and then you're also working in the public sector, there's a huge difference because your prison is totally different. You are in a box where you're actually working and the parameters are totally insufficient. You are not under any illusion that things will work the way the model has been designed. It doesn't work like that. So you must create a convergence in the thoughts of the people who are outside and your own personal experience that you've had with the reality that you see on the ground. And then it needs, you're trying to conceptualize vision, the plan, and then the action.
This was followed by a documentary chronicling what it takes to create a smart city. The conference, which was a 3-segment panelist discussion, featured successful entrepreneurs who rubbed minds and deliberated on ways of moving towards a smart city for Lagos. Professor Paul Collier, a renowned professor of economics and public policy from the University of Oxford in the UK, who was the keynote speaker, said, Lagos is an exceptional city which has made a very visible material progress. In his words, smart means a city that works for everybody, where not only the rich but ordinary people can become productive, adding that in order to achieve this, the government must invest in infrastructure to make the city livable, which would better the living condition of its people. Investment doesn't happen unless people are confident about the future.
Very unusually, Lagos has been able to make such substantial progress and such sustained progress. And I'm going to suggest that there are three structural features that have been driving this. And one is something that we indeed should celebrate that happened 50 years ago, the creation of Lagos State, an entity with enough devolved authority for the governor of that state to be able to do sensible things. You've got the right span of control. And that sounds trivial, it's actually very rare. Most of the cities I work on, I'm not even welcomed by a mayor, I'm welcomed by 5 mayors who can't coordinate amongst themselves and don't know whether they've got the authority to do a decision or some of the federal ministries. And so most cities have very confused authorizing environments. You've got a coherent authorizing environment. The governor has the span of authority needed to build a 21st century megacity.
Professor Paul Collier assured that if the government can create an enabling environment where businesses can thrive, Lagos will be a beacon to be imitated. The first panel of discussants, which was moderated by Dr. Doyin Salami, a lecturer at the Lagos Business School, speak on areas which the Lagos state government should look into in order to improve its economic hub and attract foreign investors to the state.
Wake them wherever they have been sleeping. Tell them we have work to do. Call the artists and the creators. Call the scientists and the engineers. Call the builders and the architects. Call even the magicians. Tell them this city is ours, our blood and birthright. No dream is too wild here. No ambition is too far out of our reach. Tell them here, in the space between potential and reality, where possibility and passion collide, tell them we started here, in this place. Years from now, when the world asks, we'll be long gone, and our children will be here to eat the fruits of these seeds that we have planted today. Our children will tell the world how we did exactly what they said could not be done, and we did it well. Thank you.
The smart city is perpetual, which must be a collaborative effort of the government and its citizens. The moderator, Dr. Doyin Salami, urged the governor of Lagos State, Mr. Akinwumi Ambode, to improve Lagos and make it a land of opportunities. The second session of the event, which focused on transportation, was moderated by Mr. Kunle Elebute. The session began with a documentary depicting the reality of transportation in Lagos State. The drawing board of the discussion was that transportation system is meant to serve the people and not the people serving the transport system. But in Lagos, the reverse is the case. There has been a conscious effort to decongest the use of private vehicle users on the roads. To achieve this, government must provide a reliable and affordable transportation system. The panelists agreed that a smart economy is not where the poor rides on public buses, but where the rich can also conveniently go on them.
Resources being optimally utilized, and I think a lot of time is wasted, especially from getting from place to place. Yes, telephoning has helped us a little bit. So for me, if transportation is a lot more seamless, you know, if you had the light rail, then it'll cut a lot of wasted time. So for the amount of resources that we have, we will be able to better utilize them. So for me, I can pick out the resources especially concerning transportation. So that would help us get into the smart city arena.
To run a smart city of the 21st century, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We can leverage on the back of successful smart cities, like I mentioned, Hong Kong, Singapore, Dubai, and the capacity is already existing. So what we need to do is to present Lagos as an interesting and viable entity for that capital to move. There's a deluge of capital all over the world. There's negative interest for most capitals in the Western Hemisphere, where they can get a 5 to 10% return, they rush there. Lagos is viable. Lagos is capable of generating this capital and the competencies that come with it. And that is the path to becoming a smart city in the 21st century.
So if you map it out against the fundamental value proposition of government to have a safer, healthier, connected, and sustainable Lagos, then we are well on our way to getting there.
The last session of the conference, which focused on information, communications and technology, was moderated by Sherry Williams, founder, MTech Communications. Technology is what weaves the fabric together. It is what creates a smart government, a smart citizen, and a smart city.
I think we should look at the example of Estonia, not a very wealthy country that has embraced the smart technology. They were one of the earliest adopters of smart technology. And it has improved the life of the citizens. For Lagos to become a mega city and a smart city that every citizen will enjoy, they have to embrace technology. Lagos is the 5th largest economy in Africa. They don't have a choice. Do we have the human resources to achieve this goal? Yes, we do. Do we have the funds or access to the funds? With such a large economy, yes, we do. But more important, are we committed to attain this goal? I believe the government is. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm joined by my 4 panelists, and we will be discussing how ICT will bring Lagos State from where they are now to the technology frontier, not only of Africa, but of the world. Thank you.
The panelists highlighted areas in which the government should digitalize: the agricultural sector, education, health and environment, adding that the people of Lagos State must be willing to accept this new technology to improve the economic hub of the state, thereby making Lagos the technology frontier of Africa.
So technology is not an afterthought, but it's something that has been embedded into the way the city is designed and managed. It's also a city that is using technology to drive value, not just from revenue generation, but also in terms of the way we manage the environment, the way we manage waste. And lastly, a smart city is one where technology has been used to integrate different layers of infrastructure, be it transportation infrastructure, waste infrastructure, energy, power, all of that being integrated together, where technology allows you to sense what is likely to happen so that you can predict how government needs to respond. And technology also allows you to forestall future issues. That really, it's what I see as a smart city. And I think Lagos is already on the track to being a smart city.
And in our view, a smart city is one that is self-monitoring, is an automated city that is self-monitoring, self-reporting, and most importantly, allows the different infrastructure blocks to talk to each other, as well as enables the government to be much more reactive and responsive to the needs and demands, the ebbing needs and demands of the city. Every city is an organism that will sort of evolve over time, and it's very important that as human beings that we are sitting on infrastructure that can respond to our growing needs and demands. And so in our view, we think that Lagos State is probably the most ideal environment to drive this infrastructure and drive this thesis.
Online. And so I agree with everything the other 2 panelists have said, but I think it's also about how do you move all your services electronic? How do you ensure that different departments are working off the same data? and how do you identify everybody? So I almost look at, I mean, we hear Lagos is the 5th largest economy. I mean, I almost, and some of us are having a conversation here about the biggest problem I think we have in Nigeria is identity. And so if you want to think of a smart city, you need to be able to identify everyone in your population. But the point is, we can actually take this further. And I don't think Lagos should wait for Nigeria, right? So if Lagos can first figure out identifying its own population and using the ID in a way that ends up across multiple service points, right? We can actually build a smart city in terms of the services we offer, in confirming who we're offering it to, in ensuring that people are paying for things they should pay for, and holding people accountable.
If the population is growing, and we are talking of developing a smart city, I think we also need to begin to think of the implications. For instance, it's projected that robots, artificial intelligence, all of these are coming into the space. Robots are now able to do many things that man can do. Robots are getting cheaper. So when we are actually talking of the population of Lagos, I'm not sure if we have included the robots. Now, by the time you include efficient robots that will become part of our daily lives, we need to now think of what that means if we indeed become a smart city. What's the implication of that for jobs, for instance? What's the implication for that on the type of education we should be having? Because if you're going to be smart, you have to be smart in your education, your agriculture, health, environmental improvement and protection. So if you are smart in all these areas, what would be the implication for our jobs?
The discussion was concluded with the remarks from the Governor of Lagos State, Mr. Akinwumi Ambode. In his words, the next 50 years for Lagos will be challenging, as there are some factors which may cause impediments to the growth of the state. But passion and desire for success will be the driving force to making Lagos a smart city indeed. He added that if anything is to come with the brand Nigeria, it will be from Lagos State.
So you have to start to create management solutions around your own cultural issues. And then now we've brought it back home. Yes, I like to be like Dubai, yes. One of the 8 Emirates, right? Who cares? Is Dubai a country? It's not. But we only knew Dubai after the last 20 years. Only for you to come and find out that it's not even the capital of UAE. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yes, at the point where Abu Dhabi now discovered that Dubai had moved, then they now woke up with Sharjah and every other Emirate. Do you think they will allow that to happen in Nigeria here? So give it a thought. So you got to be methodical to pull Lagos out of Nigeria. Those cultural impediments, those political impediments pull you down. So do I have the support of the citizenry?
As Lagos State prepares to move from a mega city to a technologically driven smart city, the state government has held an international conference to present to Lagosians and the general public a workable blueprint for the next 50 years. The event, which is part of activities to mark the Lagos at 50 celebrations, was held on Friday, the 26th of May 2017. At the Convention Center, Eco Hotel, Victoria Island, Lagos. The event witnessed a large turnout of professionals from different walks of life. The event, which was divided into different sessions with different panelists, had Professor Patutomi as the moderator of the first session, tagged "The Rule of Law in the Ease of Doing Business." In his remark, the keynote speaker, Mr. Gbenga Oyebode, said, Nigeria ranks low at 96 out of 113 countries globally in the Ease of Doing Business Index because of poor regulatory framework, insecurity, among others. He said delays in various approvals is one of the problems affecting businesses in Lagos and Nigeria at large, adding that if Lagos succeeds in this area, Nigeria will also succeed. He commended the federal government for implementing the executive orders for the ease of doing business in Nigeria, especially the default approval. He rounded off by saying that as Lagos prepares to become a smart city, it is important that Nigeria's ease of doing business index improves.
Lagos is 20 million people. In 30 years, it will be 40 million people. It will be the third biggest city in the world after Beijing and Mumbai. I think it's important. Nigeria would be 400 million people, third biggest country after China and India. The reality around the world, the reality around smart cities, is that if we do not deploy technology, we're not going to be able to achieve the future. And so that's why the whole smart city idea, that's why the whole concept around smart cities and the use of technology is key for the development of Lagos State. And that's why when we talk about the software around billing and management, the software around Citizens Gate and land administration, these are things that, whether we like it or not, they have to happen. We will not be able to manage 40 million people in 25 years if we do not invest significantly in the technology that's required today. And that's one of the great ideas around the steps that Lagos State is taking.
This ushered in the second session of the event, which was tagged Unlocking the Potentials Within the Creative and Sport Industries. It was moderated by veteran Nollywood actor Dr. Shola Fusudo, who is also a lecturer at the Lagos State University. Veteran Nollywood actress Mrs. Joke Silva laid the background for the discussion as she took time to brief the audience on the state government's efforts so far to harness the creative potentials of Lagosians. She said the Ambode-led administration has embarked on the construction of 6 new theaters across the state, renovation of the National Theatre, among others, all in a bid to create an enabling environment for the performing industry to thrive.
For planning and for starting the work on. One is that he is building 6 new theaters around the district of Lagos. He is, in conjunction with the federal government, going to refurbish the National Theatre, which has been moribund for the past 40 years. And then, of course, you have the refurbishment of Glover Hall, which then means that we are likely to have 8 new performing spaces within Lagos.
She urged government at all levels to provide granting system for the performing industry. The event featured interactive sessions that saw audience making valuable suggestions and asking pertinent questions, to which the panelists provided answers. In the vote of thanks, the special advisor to the governor on overseas matters, Professor Ademola Abbas, commended the governor, Mr. Akinwumi Ambode, for the ideas. The Executive Council, Lagos State House of Assembly, body of permanent secretaries, the media, members of the diplomatic community, students, and the general public for their support.